2025 was our first year of early retirement full-time travel. So we're going to break down for you what we did right, what we did wrong, and where we go next. Away we go traveling.
Okay, before we talk about what went right and wrong, let's talk about what we did. Just do a real quick recap of sort of what our last year looked like. I retired about a year ago and we were still in Orlando at the time. Had some last minute things to do with our apartment and we had to do some more downsizing of some stuff, getting rid of the rest of our furniture, getting things into our little storage closet in Orlando before we actually hit the road. So we had a couple of months there in the early part of the year where we were doing some finalization of our travel plans and how that was going to work. And we ended up hitting the road in March timeframe. And we ended up coming to St. Louis, Missouri first. It's where we're originally from. It's where all our family is. We thought we'd spend a little bit of time here since we had been in Florida for a lot of years and we wanted to catch up with some family before we sort of hit the road. So we spent a significant amount of time in St. Louis. I think we were here 3 months.
3
months-ish. Did what we could as far as trying to be tourists here, trying to try out the full-time travel life while in a city that we already sort of knew a little bit, kind of a soft landing for that. But staying in a place that we didn't know, staying in as a furnished finder, but, similar to an Airbnb, in an apartment that's not ours, living with very little stuff. Just kind of getting used to it.
It was definitely, I would say for me, it was a culture shock. So I'm glad we had a little bit of a, as Gary put it, a soft landing so we could kind of get used to the lifestyle, get used to not having things. So I think that was, and having it in a setting that was mostly familiar, the city anyway, people that were around, little family that was around.
Right.
I think that helped.
From there, we went to Grand Rapids, Michigan with a very short stopover in Utica, Illinois to visit some friends. But we spent a month in Grand Rapids. Neither one of us had ever spent any significant time other than flying through the Detroit airport in Michigan previously. So we spent a month sort of exploring the central part of Michigan. Had a great time in Grand Rapids. That was just sort of one of those places we just decided, let's just pick and see what happened. And then from there, we ended up going to Lubec, Maine, which is the easternmost town in the United States. We did a really nice video about that. It was super fun.
I'll link to that.
That was something we were sort of chasing from a long time ago, something we started looking at where we wanted to start our full-time travel because we had to stay in the United States for our 14-year-old dog, Molly. We wanted to start as far east as we could go. So that's kind of what we did. We said, how far can we get in one direction? Let's start there and then work our way out of that way. So we started as far east as we could, spent a couple of weeks in Lubec.
Lubec was amazing.
It was.
I fell in love with that little town. It's what, 1,200 people?
Something like that.
And it's lovely. I had a great time.
Yep. From Lubec, we headed a little bit south to Newport, Rhode Island. We spent a month there. I have a friend in the Navy there. That'll come back later. Had a great time. It's an interesting state. Lots of cool stuff. Lots of water activities. It was a fun state. And then from there, we went kind of double back. We went back up north. We went to Vermont and did some watching the leaves change, some fall foliage and exploring the lovely state of Vermont.
All the covered bridges, all the maple syrup, all the apple picking, like anything that is just quintessential stereotype fall in Vermont, we did it. We had some friends that met us out there. It was amazing.
From there, we headed south again, did a couple of quick nights in New York City. We saw Hamilton.
Because Leslie Odom Jr. reprised his role in Hamilton. So of course we had to make a stop through there and get tickets to that.
Then we sped up a little bit. We did a couple of weeks of sort of faster travel. We visited a friend in Virginia. We stayed a few nights in a hotel kind of on the way. We stayed 4 nights in Richmond, Virginia to see some Civil War history. I'm kind of big into Civil War history, so we went and did that. And then from there, we continued rolling south, and we spent 40 days in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Kind of a little beach vacation, slow ourselves down.
In off-season.
Nice off-season. We did a video about that, talking about how that worked. So that was super fun. And then after that, we ended up back down in Orlando. We did a cruise. We love cruising.
Love cruising.
And visited friends for Thanksgiving. And then we rolled back around, came back up to St. Louis, Missouri for the Christmas time frame because, again, we have family up here. So we wanted to be up here for family for Christmas. And that sort of ended our travel year, which I think for us, if we're talking about like a summary, I think I ended up driving like 35,000 miles-ish.
Did you really?
Which isn't a ton, I don't think, in a year, but we did it in 9 months. So we did a lot of driving. So it was like 35,000-ish miles of driving. Our SUV was great. I know you kept a count on the number of beds we were in.
So we ended up staying, I kept account of this because it's, I love data, I love the fun trivia of this. We ended up sleeping in 33 different beds in like 9 months. Well, let's call it the whole year. So if we divide an entire year by 33 different beds,
Yeah.
it's effectively 11 nights per bed.
Yeah.
But really, if you back that up to, we kind of didn't get started until March. It's weirder.
It's a little harder than that, yeah. And it was actually interesting because we had a couple places we stayed for a long time and we still managed to get a lot of beds in there. So
Yeah.
we were moving pretty good. So that was fun.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, that was sort of our East Coast swing. We decided we wanted to try swinging down the East Coast and figuring out what that all had to do. What did we do wrong? There's a lot.
All kinds of stuff. Again, it's our first year, so we're learning. As they say, what you're building the airplane as you fly it. We're figuring it out as we go.
And I think, if you watch any full-time travel content, you see the creators all have things they learn as they go. We're no different. We learned a lot as we went.
Yes,
and I think
did.
number one, because I'm the one who does it, we overpacked.
And when he says he does it, he means he loads and unloads the car.
I do. I load
So,
up.
yeah, that was overpacking is such a huge thing. Even though we did so well, we read so many books, we changed our philosophy, we changed our mindsets, we got rid of all the kind of stuff we had. We downsized so hard. And it's still so much.
We didn't overpack on clothing, I don't think.
No.
You may have had a few too many, but not too bad. It's pretty reasonable. And it was more the household stuff.
Yeah.
We brought a lot of what-if household stuff that we have
what-if
whittled down. And we've removed at least 2 containers so far.
Yeah.
And I think we'll probably lose another 1 or 2 before we go. It's to the point that I can now flip the back seat up in the SUV instead of having it on flat. So we're certainly making progress here, but we definitely overpacked. And it's okay. If you're going to full-time travel, you're going to overpack the first time. Don't worry about it.
You learn as you go.
It's going to happen. You'll figure out what it is you actually use.
And the thing is that once we realized we had too much stuff, once we identified the things we had, we were able to donate those in the communities where we were traveling.
Yep.
So hopefully we helped someone.
We'll have to trail donations all over the East Coast.
Okay, so another thing we did wrong, and this sounds kind of counterintuitive, but we really overplanned. We were so concerned about not knowing where we were going, because that's not normal, right? Like this whole full-time travel lifestyle in early retirement is not normal. It's not normal to not have a home. It is not normal to go out and not have a place to come, like a home base to come back to. So we planned surgically and meticulously every single day for the entire year.
We did.
Problem is, that made us very inflexible.
It did.
When things came up that maybe we had the opportunity to do something different, it was either difficult or impossible or maybe expensive to change those plans.
Right.
So lesson learned. Next year, we're going to be a little more flexible.
Right. And I'm a type A planner. I like to know exactly what's going on in all kinds of situations. So that for me was a comfort zone because I didn't know how this first year was going to go. So that was my big lesson learned for me. And one of the things I talked to Kara about last month was I'm going to try to, this year, we're going to be significantly more flexible as we go. And that's going to be intentional and it's going to be uncomfortable for me. But the whole point of doing this lifestyle is to do new things, to learn new things, to be uncomfortable, to continue growing as a person. So for us, it's going to be planned, but it's going to be much less planned.
Yeah.
And it's going to be much more, we have things that are, instead of having everything this year we had was non-refundables, like we had to go or we had to eat the money.
Right.
Everything we do this year is going to be a refundable situation.
So one of the other things we did wrong, we did not spend enough on our accommodations.
Probably true. And it's not like we got anything inexpensive. Like it's not like we were like, what's the cheapest thing we can find to live in? We just sort of lined it up to what we had been spending.
Yeah.
And depending on the city, like if it was a lower cost of living city, we expected to spend less. So we tried to sort of match up what we were used to in those cities, thinking what we would get would be about the same. And I think what we found is in general, that's true, but
not every time.
Not every time. And if you don't spend enough in certain locations, you're probably going to be disappointed. So what we looked at was we'll probably increase our accommodation budget going forward this year, either for nicer places, bigger places, or maybe just because of the way we're going to be traveling. But we're also comfortable with that because of the one positive lesson out of this, which was this was cheaper than we expected.
Yeah.
So we spent much less money than we sort of anticipated going, as full-time travel in the United States. A lot of people do full-time travel overseas. We have a pretty good sense of what that's going to cost whenever we get to that point in our travel lives. but we really didn't have a clue what it was going to cost in the United States.
Yeah.
And I think I had overestimated by 15, 20%. So because of that, we have a little bit of leeway in our budget and we're going to push that into accommodations. We spend a lot of time in these places. You know, we have things that we do between editing or just having down days or, you know, whatever it is, you spend a lot of time in your house. We want it to be a nicer situation.
You can go back and look at some of our budget videos to see all of the things we spent. You can go back and look at, and I'll put the thumbnail picture and a link to it. The one really bad experience we had was a bad Airbnb that we were in for 30 days because we were a little inflexible. We stayed there and we made the best of the situation. But that's perfect. One of the reasons why that specific stay is one of the reasons why we're going to try to do better. And maybe depending, as Gary said, depending on the location, we're going to bump that budget just a touch going forward.
So the next thing we figured out that we really like, and I think are super important, are down days or sea days, as we've been loving to call them, because again, we love cruising. Basically days where you don't do things. You know, there were so many times where we would get into a routine, especially for, you know, we're trying to sort of try the YouTube thing out. We want to put content for the channel. We would go do things on a regular basis. And after a few days of that or a week of that, it sort of burns you out.
It got a little, if you don't have time for yourself to think, it's, or to do normal things like laundry. Because we've said it before, one of the taglines we like is we're doing ordinary things in extraordinary places. So even though we're in a new city and there's these museums and the tours and whatever, you still have laundry and you still need to cook food or procure food or whatever. So and you need time to sit down and just rest. So fee days is a good lesson.
It's important to build those in. So, you know, if you're thinking about doing this lifestyle, just know it's okay to have down days and either plan them in if you're a type A planner like me, plan in some down days, or just know you're probably going to take some here and there.
So another thing we did right, I would say, is being brave. This is, and it sounds it's a little qualitative. However, this is not a normal lifestyle. And I think that we both did a really good job. And I'm proud of us. Go us. For being brave and really stepping out and doing this. This is not something that's normal, but as Gary mentioned before, growing as people, this has made us, I think, at least for me, it has made me so much more resilient and a lot more creative. And that's another thing I feel like we did right with being creative in this whole travel thing. We were able to think I know it sounds cliche, but outside the box of where can we go? Where have we never been? What do we need to see in this place? We've been able to use technology in different ways that we never would have before. Both of us are both very technologically minded people, but this whole YouTube thing, hi, thanks for coming with us, is a new way of doing a creative technology. This is, I had to learn how to do editing software. Gary learned how, what are the lighting? What's the setup? Or the tripods? We've learned so much about that. When we're in different cities, how do we find things to do? AI has been massive in what we've been able to find. For example, like Gary mentioned, when we went to Grand Rapids, Michigan, neither of us had ever, other than literally a layover in the Detroit airport, neither of us had ever even been to the state of Michigan. So we put in an AI. Here we're in this town. It was Grand Rapids, Michigan, which was kind of in the middle of the state. Within a 90-minute drive. What are the top things we need to see? Here, the time frame we're here, like this month, these dates. It gave us an entire list. It was so fabulous. We were able to find where there were discounts on things, either veterans discounts or going to the local library because they had free passes to things. Using AI and being creative about what we saw was such a great lesson. Highly recommend that.
All right, so what's next for us? Well, I'm still fighting 2025 Gary because, again, being the planner that he is, he planned us out through 2026. Thanks, Gary.
Almost halfway through.
Not halfway through, a couple months. So, I mean, we're not mad about it because we're going to Orlando and we're going to end up, kind of going back home for a little while, spending some time there. It's nice for us too because that is sort of our home of record and we've got medical appointments. We've got stuff for Molly we've got to get done. We have friends we want to see. We have places that we haven't been in a year that we kind of want to see. So it's going to be nice to be there, but it is going to anchor us for a little bit, but that's okay. After we have that, our plan for this year, because we had talked about last year we went east, this year going west. So with going west, we're actually going to do it. We were planning on doing one big West Coast loop. And I think that kind of got thrown out because we had something that popped up in the middle. We're going to be revisiting a location we were at last year. So that'll be a real quick trip, but you'll see that later. So because of that, we're going to head out west. We're going to go the northern western loop. or Western Northern Loop.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Something like that.
But basically, we're going to go from the Midwest. We're going to go out through North Dakota, South Dakota, Wyoming, Idaho,
Montana, Oregon,
Montana,
Washington.
that whole area. We're going to do a big loop in there. Haven't got all those plans finalized because, hey, we're being flexible
We're trying
this
to
year.
be flexible.
Being flexible.
So
We have a concept of a plan.
My God.
So we're going to work through this and figure out what it is. But yeah, we're going to go out and see national parks. We're going to see a lot of outdoor stuff. Kara wants to do some dark sky stuff in Montana. So we're going to do a whole bunch of new things to us in a whole different part of the country. So we're going to do that first. We're going to roll back. We're flying back to the East Coast.
For a weekend.
For a weekend. And then we fly back and then we do it again. But this time we're going to go west. We're going to go on the south part. So we're going to go straight across. We're going Denver. We're going Utah. We're going New Mexico, Arizona, Texas.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do 2 West Coast swings.
Yep.
I feel as though we're gonna be driving a lot.
And we're gonna probably be ready for a break.
We're gonna be ready for a break. This is gonna be different travel for us because again, there's a lot of flexibility in what we're doing. We have some built-in days where we can either slow down or add another location in. We may add some additional locations in. It's gonna be a lot of driving. There's gonna be a lot less us stationary. There's gonna be a lot more time in hotels this year. It's gonna be a heavy hotel year. We're gonna lean heavily on our points and miles for hotels this year. So we'll have a video coming out about points and miles at some point, and we'll kind of talk about this. But yeah, it's going to be a very interesting year for us.
Yep, very different, but very anticipated. And we look forward for you coming with us to see where we go, how we're doing it, and what it costs. Yeah. So one of the lessons we've taken from this past year that we're going to take with us on our couple West Coast swings in the US is to bring less stuff. We're going to go ultra minimalist, or as much as possible anyway. Well, things we don't need because we're not going to be in an Airbnb or a furnished finder type of location. Hotels, we don't need spices and kitchen knives and things. So we're going to be able to leave a few things behind. And we're going to have a lot more outside adventures, outdoor adventures. We're going to have so much fun. We're going to hit all the national parks that we've always wanted to see.
Yep.
We're going to see the dark skies at night. We're going to see the sunsets over the desert. We're going to see mountains. We're going to see valleys. We're going to see canyons.
Should be fun.
Should be a great time.
Come along with us.
Yeah. Look forward to all this travel and you coming with us.
Subscribe.
Like
the video.
Interact with all the things.
All those things.
We love that you're coming with us.
We'll see you next time.
Happy traveling.